It's time for the, so far, final part in our look at the podcast plays from the members of video/blogging site Manic Expression. Yeah, I know not many people watch these videos, but it's important to me, damn it! Yeah, it seemed for a while that many of today's outtakes would have been lost to time, and I did have to do some digging, but luckily I managed to find them all. So, as the first one, we have technically a series as it was released in two separate 35-minute acts in 2018, and it's written by Morgan Lager, aka MovieBuffMel90, who hosts the review show Vaulting. Let's get into this whodunit mystery called... hold on, let me check on my notes, because this title is a bit of a mouthful. Agent Shade in at midnight, the mummy stalks the passenger car. That's like calling Rear Window at midnight someone maybe got murdered at the opposite building.
As the rarely returning narration provided by Colin Servo explains, our writer-played lead is half kitsune, that are those folklore box creatures, and he indeed has ears and a tail. Morgan does wear dog ears in his reviews, but I haven't watched them enough to know for sure if this play has any direct connection to it. What I do know is that his kitsune half is barely plot relevant other than using his heightened sense of smell as crime-solving deus ex machina. Anyway, his job is to deal with the paranormal, and currently he's on a train to not sure where. I think I heard Falston, in order to guard a sarcophagus of an Egyptian princess Neferraska, found by Professor Scott von Defoe. Well, not currently, because this all happens as a flashback as told by Shade, who is writing a report about the incident, thus making the narrator even more pointless.
The acting is, from at least Morgan's side, passable. Agent Shade is an everyman character, so there's no much material to work with, but his reserved style fits for it. Most of the cases, like with the Professor's butler Charles May, played by Michael D. Kimpton, they are Agatha Christie stereotypes that have exaggerated accents and mannerisms that doesn't always fit to the mood, whatever that mood happens to be.
Oh, I understand. You're the gentleman who's taking part in the Egyptian cosplay in the lobby car.
Why, yes. Wait, what now?
Oh, don't you know? On this very train, they performed the recreation of the opening of the mummy sarcophagus. It's a yearly tradition. Shame not too many do that anymore.
I was told this was a simple exhibit move.
In the 1920s cosplay event, we meet the rest of the suspect, I mean guests. Most of them are united by their utter contempt for the party host professor, as he took pretty much all the credit for the finding. The story then stops to its tracks for several minutes in order to introduce them all, and it's told even further with one fourth wall breaking joke that doesn't appear anywhere else besides opening and closing narrations. That scene also exemplifies the unbalance the comedy has with the writing. Occasional attempts at jokes and stylized performances indicated to lean more towards genre parody, but then when the professor and his assistant get murdered back to back, everyone's reactions are bizarrely nonchalant.
My lord, he's dead!
He was afraid of enclosed spaces. Maybe the dark just got to him.
I don't think so. Look what's on the floor. It appears to be a small blow dart.
Give me that.
That kind of... it's out of the gravity of the situation, you know? But even when the writing whiplashingly decides to play it straight, say trying to figure out the central mystery with added disappeared mummy is intriguing. And the music made by James Todd Sullivan, who also plays the now dead Professor von Defoe, fits for the Art Deco suspense story.
Overall, Agent Shade at midnight, the mummy stalks the passenger car is pretty meh. I mean, it has difficulties in deciding between comedy and drama, and as a side effect, the acting styles are all over the place, and so is the sound editing, but at least it has some good music, and the central mystery is intriguing, and there still are moments, even if they're not anything super mind-imprinting. And as for the promised second episode, that is called Agent Shade in the Curious Puzzle of the Toy Tinker, Yeah, it has so far failed to materialize, but hey, if Mason Dixon managed to get a new episode after 6 years of silence, then anything is possible. Then let's get to the next podcast play, also from 2018, that was written by the used to be usually active poet Tay Thomas, or better known as T-Kun Unusual Wordsmith III, the Mafioso Spiels.
We begin with a fire where the main character Sinopa, played by Morgan Lager, has been badly damaged and he may have caused the fire in the first place. I'm not sure what happened because it soon switches to a prison hospital where he's treated by Dr. Allen, played by myself, who has an argument about Sinopsa's treatment with the Donald Wunderplayed warden.
Stop beating around the bush, Dr. Allen. You're putting a lot at risk by not cooperating.
When I see someone smarter than a chimp standing before me, I'll take their threats seriously. I'm doing what I think is best for the boy and you can't order me otherwise. He's a child, not a caged animal that needs to be put down.
I don't know, maybe my performance was too stylized given the material, though I can't recall how much context I was given for my lines. Not that it matters, because the warden will leave the narrative after this scene and Dr. Allen will leave after the next scene, in which Sinopa gets released from the hospital and insists to be called as new identity Fox, which the play will refer to him as for the rest of its length. And Dr. Allen even can't return, because we will find out later that he died off screen. Don't ask me how, it just happened.
After getting out of the hospital, how long time has passed since then is not specified, Fox shows his viler nature by making a hobo kill 2 other hobos and then killing the murder hobo. And I'm not sure why. Next we meet a gangster Sil, played by Seiji Jones, aka Second Opinion, who secretly recruits Fox to the Mafia, and he's tired of all of this, most of all this clown attitude makes him one of the more distinct characters, both personality and performance-wise.
Wow, you are far more gone than I thought. Wonderful. Though, I guess given everything else... Fine. For their sake, it might be best to at least get you off the streets. You didn't hear this from me, but we do need the extra help.
Then we are at the Mafia hideout, I think, and meet Fox's sister Yona, played by Patricia Miranda, and they talk about someone named Dale, who I think is the Mafia boss, and then Fox is being interrogated. Hey, slow down, story!
At this point you must have caught on that the narrative likes to jump around a lot, and to answer the question that is on everyone's mind, no, I have no idea what is going on either. The whole play is structured like this. It jumps from scene to scene without any proper bridges or establishing character relations. It's like if someone cut all the narration parts from Casino.
From what I'd read of T-Kun's poetry, it's stylistically stream of consciousness, but trying to fit that style into longer fictional form makes everything too confusing and difficult to get a proper grasp of. Maybe if you aim for full surrealism, this can be justified. Yet despite its messy structure, the play still manages to build characters that I'm interested to know what happens to them, and overall acting is decent all around.
I'll leave you here so you can try to solve the enigma of the Mafioso Spiels on your own time, but yeah, it demands a lot from its listeners with its unconventional structure that should have been more David Lynchian to work, at least for me. But hey, the next play from the same author, Our Day and Night from 2019, is only 30 minutes long instead of 50 and has only 3 characters, so perhaps that one manages to be more cohesive. Or at least be confusing in a fascinating way.
Our tale centers around Casey Lynn McCabe, played by Ruby Marina, what I presume to be a late-teen lass who unfortunately suffers from a disease that has left her bedridden. I'm not sure about the exact details of her illness, whether that's in his physiotherapy, or what's the exact relation to her caretaker Miss Tate, played by Erin Chasukin's scholar. That could be because of the familiar hasty storytelling style, or that sometimes it's hard to make out what everyone is saying.
However, hearing problems are only relevant in the beginning, as generally this play's soundscape is better dealt than with the previous ones. And there's this nice added environmental humming and ambient music that give this play this dream-like atmosphere.
The air is just stale, far too clean. The patients look one of the holes, sick and injured, are too painful to look at. I see the ones that will likely never leave. I just want to keep my head down and count my blessings, but then I see why I'm there too.
To bring some light to Casey Lane's otherwise dreary everyday life is her boyfriend, Nikolai Rosso, played by someone known as the Lancer, who she's having a distance relationship with due to his studies elsewhere. Yet he was willing to drive 14 hours just to make her a surprise visit. Not that Nico would have needed to do such a Chad move, because their phone calls have already proven them to have solid chemistry, and the actors, while sometimes leaning too much on comedic delivery when the text required something more dramatic, can bring warm, life-embracing innocence to their interactions.
You know, I'd love to come and see it, but I gotta finish my precious paper. Just wait a little longer, fair maiden. Your knight will see you soon.
Oh my god, you're such a dog.
Pardon?
Nothing, apart from the fact that my eyes can't roll enough to indicate how corny that was. My god.
You know you love it.
I love you.
So you love it. Glad we could have this talk.
Nikolai!
It is not perfect though. The play doesn't stick to landing when it tries to build some half-assed connection to the Mafioso Spiels towards the end, but overall I'd say it's a nice listen as a quick but sweet slice of life drama. Like with the previous play, Our Day and Night may not have a proper plot structure, but at least it's easier to figure out what these characters are going through.
Now for the latest podcast play. Boy, do I have a lot to say about this one. It is one of the most ambitious projects of the site, with 2.5 hour length that is separated to 5 chapters and over 50 cast members. It is probably also the most controversial one, if the subject matter is anything to go by. The said source of inspiration is Change the Channel, the 2018 implosion event that happened to the blog/video site Channel Awesome, and more specifically the written document Not So Awesome that details various transgressions from the site's leadership. Written by actor Liam Higgins and released right at the end of 2019, this is What I Just Saw. And we start with the first chapter, 2008 to 2009.
Events begin in August of 2008, where we meet our main character Alyssa Michaels, played by Melissa Denise, who with her friend establishes the time period by clumsily stating who they are going to vote for president. Though luckily the play usually does a better job with its time establishing hits. Alyssa is bummed out because her friends are studying and unlike her seem to have clarity on what they want to do with their lives, but she gets some enjoyment from watching bad rip-off movies. However, Alyssa's life gets on the trajectory of becoming more interesting when she discovers the internet review show What I Just Saw, hosted by a down-to-his-luck graphic designer dog, Adrian Morris, played by Alex de Corville, who wasn't impressed by the latest hit movie Iron Man.
So Tony, who's like this superhero version of Scrooge McDuck, mixed with a superhero version of Hugh Hefner, is selling these weapons only to almost be blown up by a bomb. Michael Bay must have directed that scene.
She sure is easy to please. Those of you who are more aware of Channel Awesome's history may have already caught up on who these characters are supposed to represent. Alyssa being the Not So Awesome's writer, Alison Pregler, aka Obscure's Lupa, who these days does movie nights, and Adrian being the representative of Doc Walker, who hosted the site's flagship show, Nostalgia Critic, and whenever the play tries to emulate anyone's review styles, it just falls flat. There's no proper comedic timing. It's such a pity that the play can't properly emulate what made all these reviewers so popular and why so many people from sites like Manic Expression, myself included, were inspired to do similar kind of cultural critic, which weakens its message.
This cutting corners in drama building is exemplified in the play's main antagonist Jimmy Williams, played by Clinton Charles. Jimmy is supposed to stand in for Mike McCord, the businessman of the site who is in the document singled out as the biggest abuser, and Jimmy indeed has zero redeeming qualities. Adrian knows him via their shared friend, a Bagrav-Matid Ronam Raju stand-in Sanjay Akreya, played by Gobal Lalvani, and once he, Adrian, Sanjay and Adrian's brother Rob, I mean Ronald, formed the website for content creators, Jimmy is shown as a control freak who nastily snaps at any talent who does stuff without his approval, like extra income or con appearances. If his characterization had stayed here, then Jimmy would have been a rather believable depiction of a toxic manager who values financial gain above all else. Unfortunately, added to Mr. Charles's bizarre performance where the flow of speech doesn't sound natural, Jimmy does some unbelievably illogical decisions just so that the plot wouldn't get resolved too early, like here where he first asks money from an investor.
Are you interested in investing?
Yeah, let me talk about it with other people in the company and we'll get back to you.
Apparently, you've never seen a movie. In movies, when people find out someone is talented, they automatically become successful, and they get everything they ever wanted.
You mean to honestly tell me that he didn't know you have to wait a couple of days for an answer? Morris Bros also suffer from this as well. They have mostly characterized as naive and socially clueless. The writing just can't resist the temptation to give out-of-character moments of intentional malice.
Gary's going to be in the review.
That's great. We'll definitely need some more star power. I mean, bringing the children on, who cares about them?
I know, but it'll show our viewers that our site is a community.
Sure it is.
We do the same thing that we do every night, my dear brother, trying to take over the world. And those of you who are now wondering where they have heard Ronald's voice before, that is, no joke, Brandon Hardesty from Internet Movie Database show No Small Parts. This is the Manic Expression podcast play equivalent of seeing Jack Black in Neverending Story 3.
After Adrian and Ronald sign off the rights to what I just showed to Jimmy so that they would focus on content creation instead of that boring and complicated business stuff, they announced to look for more contributors to the site, which Alyssa and several other hopefuls sent their applications to, with Alyssa's show being This Exists? However, the contract is a bit suspicious because they don't give their employees additional cash, just allowing them to post on their site for better visibility. So yes, they are literally paid with exposure. But hey, a stock market crash has conveniently left everyone unemployed, so I guess it's better than nothing. In the next episode, that is just 2009, we meet Thomas Carver, played by the writer, who hosts the review show Horror Hound Reviewer and represents Phelan Phelos Sportius. He has a dead-end job in a movie theater but gets some enjoyment after rough days from Alyssa's videos.
Your eyes are not deceiving you. Marissa Vida is in fact using martial arts on a bunch of nights while dressed like a Disney princess.
Are you alright, sir?
Thomas contacts Alyssa for a crossover video, thus marking the beginning of their relationship, just like happened with their real-life counterparts. Other notable members include exploitation reviewer Ben Derelict, played by Marvin Scott III, whose Brad Cinema Snobs Jones impersonation is decent enough, Chuck Lancaster, played by James Daniel Walsh, who is the Justin Carmichael aka Jew Warrior stand-in, and yes, the play briefly touches his creepy behavior, though not in a plot-relevant way. Then there's Melissa Parker, an artist who I'm not sure who she's supposed to represent, Little Miss Gamer maybe, who is voiced by Adrian Olkurson, who you may know better as Ducky from at least 10 Land Before Time sequels, and I'd go as far as to say her realistic and vulnerable portrayal provides the best acting job in this whole play.
I was just driving on my way to work when suddenly Jimmy just calls me and starts berating me for selling my artwork.
Oh my god.
I don't know why he got so angry at me. I mean, what did I do wrong? It's not like they paid me for it or told me they put a copyright on it.
Too bad these scenes have their own sound issues like suddenly cutting effects and background music that sometimes makes it hard to hear what everyone is saying.
What comes to the writing, the core problem is it doesn't know how to effectively adapt its source material into fiction form. It feels like there hasn't been done proper analysis on how all these scenes connect with each other, which leaves several story elements that either lead to nowhere or are solved as quickly as they come, like the threat of the infamous copyright spill Sopa. To be fair, it does cause Sanjay to leave the company, and with that the whole narrative, and Adrian hasting to end his show, but one, Adrian later admits that he was going to do that regardless, and two, Sanjay had no plot relevance. He could have been cut out without it affecting to anything.
Adrian wants to his show to go out in a grande finale, so in the third episode 2011 to 2012, because apparently nothing interesting happened in 2010, he invites all important side contributors to participate in his review of an obscure Otto Preminger director stoner comedy Skidoo, with the intention of sacrificing his review person in an epic battle against Sopa Dragon. So, this is obviously a reflection of Channel Awesome's anniversary special to boldly flee and its behind-the-scenes chaos. And this is one of the instances where keeping it closer to the source material would have served the story better. In the play, this is not only the first as a crossover special of the site instead of the fourth, but also the first time Alice and Adrian meet, so the potential drama coming from their work ethic suddenly clashing, and her disillusionment to her former idol isn't as strongly built as it could have.
As it stands, what I just saw is an overly long internet drama exploitation with inept sound mixing, all over the place acting, and writing that has the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Plus, the play doesn't even properly end, it just stops at the year 2015, 3 years before Change the Channel. You know, the moment that has the climatic catharsis. Phew, that sure was a lot. But I finally done it. I reviewed all 60 Manic Expression podcast plays, and most of the time my ears were pleased. It has been rather quiet from that front ever since, but in a video released last year by James Samuel Waltz, he did say that podcast plays would perhaps soon return, and that animated Manic Expression the movie seems to be coming to fruition in a year or two, so perhaps I shall return to talk about Manic Expression stuff sooner than I thought.
Right here was on the wall. Didn't mean a thing at all. The writing was on the wall.